Okay, so in this video, let's look at what we have in the background here. So we need to fill this space up a little bit more. And what I could do, just for quickly kind of building this area up, is I can actually select everything, making sure that I'm not selecting the camera. So I'll just grab everything. And I can quickly duplicate things, as you know, by Control D. So I can kind of start building up more buildings. They're going to look the same kind of, but remember I told you about that family color. And so what I could do is just go in, and although I did do a family color of walls, I can go in, select the walls, and then deselect the walls that I don't want. So I can go through and go to a different view here. So let me select the walls again here. Select the walls, and then deselect the ones that I don't want. And I know that it's kind of looking like I have a lot of things selected, but I just want one of these walls. Maybe it's easier to just... It is going to select the whole everything because it is grouped together. And that wasn't really what my intention was. Let's go in here and try this again. So walls. I wonder if I do... Let's try this. I'm going to go ahead and select just a different color. And even though it's going to affect all of my walls, you can see there, now they're all pink houses, little pink houses. Okay, so that allows me to do that, but if I wanted to do one each individual, then I'd have to select the walls individually. So for that, you know, is one of the things that you can quickly change if you wanted to. So let's add a mountain to the very back of this so that we'll have a little bit of background to play with. The terrains are here, so if you actually go to create, if you drop in just one of these terrains that's going to be like a mountain, it drops into that 0 coordinates area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull that way back here. You can see that here's my camera. I'm very zoomed out. These are the houses or the buildings. And now I can make this really big because it's going to be in the background. We want to make that huge. You can see how big it is now. I need to push that up so that you could see it. But I'm going to move that even further back. Let me Control minus. See, it's way back here. And again, I can make that bigger and then push that up a little bit. And like anything else, this comes in with a material already on it, and you can hardly see it over here. So I might put it in a spot where you will be able to see it. So I'm just going to click and drag that over here behind the homes and then render this. There it is. It's still looking very unnatural. It doesn't have the effect that I want it to have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move that back a little bit more. And remember, the trajectory for your camera is way over here, and there's the trajectory. So I'll go ahead and move that way back. And really what I want is just kind of the thought or idea of a big gigantic mountain in the background with perhaps snow on it. So I'm going to make that huge and then move that up a little bit. So now it's very big and prominent back there. I'm going to go to my materials and then go to terrains and see what I find here of rocky or snowy. And again, you can play around with different mountains, different terrains. It's totally up to you if you want to use a mountain. You could just kind of play around with trees and the sky and fog. if you want to try different mountains here, maybe altitude. No, I don't like that material, so I'll change that. Midwinter, try that one. Oh no. Yeah, so it starts getting a little bit too much. Sometimes the terrain or the terrain is a little bit too much for what we have going on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and delete that. With using just the sky and fog, I mean, you could play around with that, but sometimes using just the sky and fog is just as good. I can make it kind of almost nighttime here as well. And then I can change the camera view. So I have the camera kind of showing this area over here, but what I could do is I could kind of push that over. And again, don't be afraid to just move your camera, rotate it around. Here we go. So kind of center things there a little bit more. Try to kind of line them up. And you can even zoom in if you'd like to a little bit as well. And let me zoom out just a little bit more. And then remember how we created little lamps? We could always create a little light pole or something like that using a cone and a light. So try to create some lamps out here like we did last time. You can use a radio light and just kind of stick it in there. Again, going into solo mode is going to help me create a little bit more. Let me go into solo mode, and then what I'll do is I'll try to create a little bit larger. I could always make it large and then make it smaller in the image itself or wherever oops, let me control plus so I can zoom in, and I'll control duplicate that and make that a little bit longer so it'll cut through. I'm going to make this, oops, I'm going to make this bottom portion a negative and this top portion a positive. And leaving the light, making sure that that light is neutral will allow me to group everything together, and it is. I'll go ahead and group that. And then I'll add, I guess I do need a pole at the bottom here. It looks a little bit lopsided, and it's because of the way my camera is tilting a little bit. And I also want to make sure that I'm in world space, but when I start manipulating something, I need to actually change to object space. So there's a world space and an object space. If things are kind of getting a little bit quirky like this, when they start kind of getting disproportionate, you want to try to toggle to the object menu. But in this case, I'm going to just leave it like it is and see if that light is going to... it's lighting up, but I had moved that camera around, so I didn't add materials, but I get to do that. So you can kind of experiment with things and then start lining things up. Now if your camera view gets a little bit out of whack, and it's getting a little frustrating here sometimes when you try to use the roller ball, it can go all over the place. Sometimes you can even lose things, you know, like where are they? They're not visible. You can always reset your camera views by going to View Options, Reset Views, and then starting again by doing a Camera to Director. And now I can kind of zoom out. I've started from the very front here. I can rotate it a little bit if I want to, and then try to see how my scene is looking at this point. I want to scoot it over and line things up. Not too bad. There's still some things like the doors that I have to build, and I'm glad I left some lights in there. So if you're wondering how I have lights in here because it's looking like it's dark, then remember that I actually threw some lights in here. So for this assignment, just have fun trying to create a place where you'd like to hang out at. Again, don't be afraid to experiment with the terrain if you'd like, zooming into different areas. And be sure to let me know if you have any questions on a particular technique, and I'll try to make you a short video and post it by either tomorrow or the next day. Good luck modeling and have fun. Most importantly, have fun. Again, using reference is really important as well. So enjoy.